Hello, I'm Denise Fawcett, and I'd like to welcome you to Let's Talk Health. We've been talking about blood sugar and lowering our blood sugar levels. There are a lot of people I know that deal with high blood sugar, and that's something that they've been working on. So last week we started our session on it. We talked a little bit about water intake, which is important for every aspect of your health, not just your sugar, but every aspect of your health. We talked about making sure that you drink half your body weight in water each day and how to do that throughout the day. If you take your bottle and you cut it into 10 hours and divide that up amongst that time, you'll get your water in for the day. We talked about lowering your carb intake, staying away from white pasta, white bread. You want to stay away from white sugar. That all increases your sugar. Watch out for those hidden sugars that end in OSE. And stay away from things that contain high fructose corn syrup. That's one of the worst things that you can put into your body if you have issues with sugar. You want to pay attention to the condiments that you eat. A lot of those are high in sugar. So start watching what you eat and look at the labels. We're actually going to do a session on label reading sometime in the near future to teach you what to look for and what to look out for. We also discuss increasing the fiber in your diet, increasing the whole grains, eating more fruits and vegetables that contain fiber. So this week I want to talk to you about some of the other things that you can do to help bring down that blood sugar. We touched a little bit on food last week, so we want to go ahead and start there. I'm going to start with talking about the glycemic food list. There's foods that are high on the glycemic index and those that are low. If you have sugar issues, you want to stay with those that are on the lower end of the glycemic index. And what the glycemic index does is it measures how we absorb or digest the food that goes into our body. Now that does affect the rate at which the sugar rises, because if our body is not digesting the sugar properly, it's going to cause our sugar to rise. So it's not just the amount of carbs that you intake, but it's also the type of carbs that you take into your body. So we're going to talk about that a little bit by eating those foods that are on the low glycemic index. That will help reduce your blood sugar. Those include things like yogurt, your non-starchy vegetables, wheat. If you're going to eat pasta, you want to eat a wheat pasta. You want to stay away from the white pasta. You want to stay with your brown rice if you're eating rice. You want to include beans, lentils, black-eyed peas. Beans are very good to include in your diet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, and I have a list that I'm going to go over that will give you some lists of the low glycemic and the high glycemic foods. We're going to be posting those on our Facebook page so that you can go ahead and take a look at it over the next couple of weeks. I'll be putting up the list of some of the high glycemic and low glycemic foods. I do encourage you to take a look at it so that you know which fruits, which vegetables fall on the glycemic list and how it's going to affect your body. So it's essential to choose those foods that are going to be low on that glycemic index to keep your sugar low. And monitor your carb intake. I'm not saying you have to count every carb, but monitor it. And something that I've taught my husband to do is, let's say for example, in the morning you're going to have some toast, some whole grain toast, of course. You're going to have a piece of toast. So for lunch, you're not going to want to have any bread. You're going to want to have a nice salad. Stay away from the carbs for lunch. So be mindful of the carbs that you eat. You don't want to eat them in every meal. So not necessarily count the carbs, but be mindful of the carbs. Because I know a lot of people, when you say count, they get totally frustrated. I don't want to have to do all that. But be mindful of the carbs you eat. Be mindful of the food that you put into your body. Also, it's important to eat foods that are rich in chromium and magnesium. High blood sugar levels and diabetes have been linked to micronutrient deficiencies. Now, some of the micronutrients they're talking about are chromium and magnesium. Chromium is important because it's involved in carb and fat metabolism. It regulates your blood sugar levels. So a lack of chromium will lead to carb intolerance, which is going, if you become carb intolerant, is going to raise those sugar levels. Magnesium also has been shown to benefit sugar levels. And if magnesium deficiency shows that you're at a higher risk for diabetes. In fact, studies have linked individuals with the highest magnesium intake with a 47% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. So if you get adequate magnesium, your risk of developing diabetes is 47% less than other people. So remember, chromium, magnesium, very, very important. Now you can get these in your dark leafy greens, your spinaches, your kales, your leaf lettuces. You can get them in squash and pumpkin seeds, tuna, your whole grains, bananas, avocados are also rich in magnesium. Now remember, of course, don't overdo it because they do have fat content, but they are a healthy fat. So they do have the benefit of being a healthy fat as well as high in magnesium. And for those of us that every once in a while, even though we want to do it in a minimal amount, chocolate does have magnesium in it. However, if you do decide to have a piece of chocolate, you want to make sure that it is dark chocolate and it's at least 70%, 80% cocoa in it, so that way you're getting the benefits of the cocoa without all the sugar. So only in moderation if you do decide to treat yourself. Eating foods rich in chromium and magnesium can help prevent deficiencies and reduce the risk of blood sugar problems. The last thing I want to talk to you about is portion control. This is so very important. I was talking to you about if you have a slice of bread for breakfast, not to have one for dinner. Pay attention to the portion control. We as Americans, our portions are so out of whack. If you go into a restaurant, you get enough food to actually serve 1 to 2 people as far as the proper portions of food. So you want to pay attention to that. Not only does portion control help stabilize the blood sugar, but it's also going to help you with your calorie intake. It's going to help you maintain a moderate weight, which is very important to keep your weight management, is important to keep your sugar under control. So some tips, you can, like I said, you can measure and weigh the portions if you'd like. If you want to do that, some people do like to do that and they have a scale where they can do that. I like to use more of the eye method. A few weeks ago I put up a chart showing how you could use your hands to see how much food to eat, half a cup, what your thumb means. And I know I had a response and a question came up as to the size of the hands. Well, the size of your hand corresponds with the size of your body. So if you do take a look at that chart and you're a smaller person, of course you need a lesser amount of food. If you're a larger person, you're going to need a larger amount of food. So our hands are a good measurement. Another thing that you can do is use smaller plates. If you'll notice, our dinner plates are like 9 inches big, 9, 10 inches big. You can put a lot of food on there. So what I suggest is use a smaller plate. Find yourself a sandwich plate, about a 7-inch plate, because we're very visual. We look at the plate, and if we see a plate full of food, we're going to eat it and we're going to feel satisfied. But instead of the 9-inch plate full of food, get a 7-inch plate full of food, and you will still be satisfied. You'll get full. Now, another thing that you want to do is eat slower. We tend to always be in such a hurry. We are in such a fast-paced world, especially those of us in California. It seems like we're always go, 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 go. We got to be somewhere. We got somewhere else to go. So slow down when you eat. Take time to chew your food. Take a bite of your food, chew it, and chew it again. One of the things they taught us in school was to chew your food until it's liquid and then chew the liquid. Put your utensil down in between bites so that way you have time to chew your food and to digest your food. Your digestion actually begins in your mouth. So you want to start chewing that food so you get the digestion, so you can get the nutrients out of that food. It's very important. If you're eating too fast, you're not getting the nutrients from your food. Another thing that you want to do when eating out, skip the appetizers and watch out for that bread that they serve you. I don't know if you've noticed, but most restaurants, almost the minute you sit down, they're going to bring you out a loaf of bread or a bag of biscuits, a basket of biscuits, breadsticks, something or another with some butter to fill you up, to get you started. So stay away from the bread. And share a salad with somebody. Share a meal. Now, like sometimes what my husband and I will do is if we decide to go out, we might share a meal. We might get a meal between us, get a salad, and then get a meal and split the meal because we know we're not going to eat it all. And don't be afraid to ask for a to-go box and take some of it home. Just because it's on your plate doesn't mean you have to eat it all. And I know. I grew up in a time, and I'm sure some of you did as well, where we were taught to eat everything on our plate. And sometimes those plates were pretty full, but you don't, as an adult, put less on your plate, number one. And when you start to feel full, stop eating. Your body will tell you when it's full. If you're eating at a regular pace, after about 20 minutes, your body will let you know, I'm full. It's time to stop. We have that internal clock not only to help us wake up and to help us to go to sleep, but also to help our bodies say, I've had enough. That's all I need. Because your bodies can only handle so much at a time. We talked about reading food labels, looking at the serving sizes. Now, I don't know how many of you realize when we eat a sandwich, we're actually eating 2 servings of bread. If you haven't, take a look at your loaf of bread. Look at the serving size. Most loaves of bread, the serving size says 1 slice. So that sandwich was actually 2 servings of bread. Just keep that in mind so that way when you do have that sandwich, you have a salad later on. You have some fruit later on. Maybe you have a smoothie or something like that. So I just want to ask you, if you're really, really looking to change your eating habits and to lower that blood sugar, what are you willing to do? Are you willing to let go of some of those things that you've always thought that you really wanted, that you really needed? You don't need that extra serving of dessert. In fact, you don't necessarily need that serving dessert at every meal. Watch what you eat. Pay attention to the portion sizes. Be mindful of the food that you put into your body. Stay with the natural whole foods as much as possible. Your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains. Stay with the things that you know are going to make you healthy. The things that come from the earth are meant to go into your body, not all the chemicals and all the man-made stuff. So I want to leave you and remind you to stay healthy. Drink your water. Make sure that if you go outside, when you come back in, wash your hands. Wash your hands throughout the day. Make sure that you pay attention to your immune system as well. Making sure you get outside, you get the vitamin D, you drink plenty of water. I'm going to go ahead and I challenge you over this next week. Something that you have in your diet that you know you shouldn't be eating. When I put up those glycemic lists, which I'll put up in the next couple of days, take a look at those lists. Look at some of the foods on that high glycemic list and decide which one of those do I not need anymore. Maybe things like the vegetables. Some of the things on that high glycemic list are white potatoes, corn, white bread, pastries, watermelon. Those are some of the things on the high glycemic list. Which ones can you do without in this next week? I challenge you. Find something that you know you don't need and remove it from your diet. Your palate will change. Until next time, I want to invite you to join us on our Facebook page, Prevailing Word Christian Center. Also, our YouTube channel, Prevailing Word Christian Center CA. You can catch our Wednesday night service on the channel, our Sunday service as well. Now we do have our services live on YouTube. We also are open for a soft opening. However, you will be required to follow all COVID requirements. You will be required to wear a mask, sanitize upon entering and leaving the sanctuary. You will be asked to, if you're feeling well, if you're sick, as much as we would love to have you there in person, we do ask you to listen to the service at home because we want you to stay healthy and to be in good health. Our website, avpwcc.org, and sign up for our newsletter so that way you can stay informed of the events that we have coming up. You can learn about our Sunday services. Also in the newsletter, we do have health tips every week. We have our Let's Talk Health series that we put in there. We have scriptures, things to motivate you, inspirational things that will help you throughout the week. So we do encourage you to sign up for that newsletter and stay in touch with us. Until next week, I just want to say God bless you, and remember that all things work together for good to those who love and serve the Lord. Until next time, God bless and have a wonderful day. Stay healthy.